Kiva stood in the sterile white chamber of Talvarian High Command, their three-fingered hands clasped behind their back. The holographic display showed a rotating image of a human warship. It looked blocky and inefficient compared to Talvarian vessels. The Supreme Commander's voice echoed through the chamber. "You will observe them for 6 months. Document everything. We need to understand these humans before we fully integrate them into our coalition." Kiva nodded slowly. They had heard stories about humans. The newest species to join the Galactic Coalition. A species that came from a death world called Earth. A planet with violent weather, deadly predators, and toxic plants. Yet somehow humans had survived and reached the stars. "Why me, Commander?" Kiva asked. "Because you are objective. You do not judge quickly. You observe and record facts." The commander's eyes fixed on Kiva. "These humans are strange. They do things that make no sense. We need someone who can explain why." 2 days later, Kiva arrived at the diplomatic station orbiting Varus Prime. The docking bay was busy with ships from a dozen different species. But the human vessel stood out. It was painted in dull gray metal with visible weapon systems on every surface. Kiva felt their stomach tighten with nervousness. A human waited at the airlock. He was tall with dark hair and wore a dark blue uniform covered in strange symbols. His face was smooth and young-looking, but his eyes seemed much older. "Analyst Kiva Renthor?" the human asked. His voice was deeper than Kiva expected. "Yes. I'm Captain Dae-hyun. I'll be your liaison during your assignment." He extended his hand forward. Kiva had studied human customs and knew this was called a handshake. They reached out and gripped the human's hand. It was warm and firm. Very firm. Kiva pulled their hand back and flexed their fingers. "You are very strong," Kiva observed. Dae-hyun smiled slightly. "Actually, I'm pretty average for humans. You'll get used to it." They walked through the station corridors. Kiva noticed how Dae-hyun moved. He walked with confidence, but his eyes constantly scanned the environment. Always watching. Always alert. Like a predator. "I must tell you," Kiva said carefully, "many in my government are skeptical about human military capabilities. You have no natural armor. No enhanced senses. No biological weapons. How do you survive combat?" Dae-hyun was quiet for a moment. Then he said something that made Kiva's skin prickle with unease. "We evolved as persistence predators. We don't give up. Ever. Even when we probably should." They entered a briefing room where another human waited. She was shorter than Dae-hyun, with her hair pulled back tightly. Her uniform had different symbols. She stood when they entered, and her smile was bright and genuine. "This is Lieutenant Hana," Dae-hyun said. "She'll be handling tactical coordination during your stay. Welcome aboard, Analyst Kiva." Hana's enthusiasm was almost overwhelming. "We're excited to have you with us. It's not every day we get to show off what humanity can do." Kiva noticed she said, "show off," like this was entertainment. Like combat was a game. This was concerning. The briefing began with holographic displays showing star charts and enemy positions. Dae-hyun explained their mission with calm professionalism. They would be going to a border system where pirates had been attacking civilian ships. The Galactic Coalition wanted it stopped. "Our approach is straightforward," Dae-hyun said. "We locate the pirate base. We eliminate the threat. We protect the civilians." "What about negotiations?" Kiva asked. "Diplomatic solutions?" Hana laughed. Actually laughed. "These pirates have killed over 200 innocent people in the last month. They rejected 3 different peace offers. Diplomacy time is over." Kiva made a note on their datapad. Humans seem to have limited patience for threats against innocents. The tour of the human warship called Resolute Dawn was even more concerning. Every corridor had warning signs. Hazardous materials. Explosive decompression risk. Radiation danger. Emergency medical stations were everywhere. The ship seemed designed, expecting constant disaster. "Why so many medical facilities?" Kiva asked. "Because people get hurt in combat," Dae-hyun said simply. We prepare for it. The crew quarters were cramped, much smaller than Talvarian standards. Humans apparently did not need much personal space. Or perhaps they just did not care about comfort. Kiva was assigned a small room, barely large enough to turn around in. That evening, Kiva sat in their quarters reviewing the day's observations. They composed a message to High Command. Initial assessment. Humans are practical, but their safety protocols suggest they expect high casualty rates. Their ship design prioritizes weapons and armor over crew comfort. They speak of combat casualties as inevitable rather than tragic. Recommend continued observation. To understand this mindset, a soft chime indicated someone at the door. Kiva opened it to find Hana holding 2 containers. Thought you might be hungry. This is called pizza. Well, it's really good. Trust me. Kiva accepted the container cautiously. The food inside was hot and smelled strange but not unpleasant. They took a small bite. It was intensely flavored. Salt and fat, and something acidic. Their taste buds felt overwhelmed. Good, right? Hana grinned. It is very intense. Yeah, human food tends to be like that. We like strong flavors. She leaned against the doorframe. I know this must be weird for you. Humans have a reputation for being a bit crazy in combat. But I promise, we're not mindless. We just have different priorities. What priorities? Kiva asked. Hana's expression became serious. We protect what matters, no matter the cost. After she left, Kiva sat with the half-eaten pizza and thought about those words. No matter the cost. What kind of species thought like that? What kind of evolution created beings who would sacrifice themselves so easily? The ship's engines hummed as they prepared to jump to hyperspace. Kiva looked out the small window at the stars. In 72 hours, they would reach the combat zone. Kiva had observed many species in many situations. But somehow, they knew this assignment would be different. They just did not know how different yet. The training deck was loud with the sound of bodies hitting padded floors. Kiva watched from an observation platform as human Marines practiced combat drills. They moved fast and hit hard. Very hard. 2 Marines circled each other with knives that looked real. Too real. Those are actual blades? Kiva asked the Marine standing next to them. Sergeant Taemin nodded. His face was covered in scars. One ran from his eye to his jaw. Another crossed his neck. He should be dead from that neck wound. Yet here he stood. Training with fake weapons makes you sloppy. We train with real danger, so we're ready for real combat. One of the Marines on the floor suddenly lunged forward. The knife caught the other Marine's arm. Blood appeared. Actual blood. The wounded Marine did not stop fighting. She grabbed her opponent and threw him to the ground. The drill instructor blew a whistle. Good, the instructor shouted. Chen, get that arm patched. Back on deck. In 5 minutes. The bleeding Marine jogged to the medical station like nothing had happened. Kiva felt dizzy watching this. You train while injured? Kiva asked. Taemin looked confused by the question. Combat doesn't stop because you're hurt. You fight through it, or you die. Better to learn that here than in actual battle. A young Marine approached them. She looked barely old enough to be a soldier. Her smile was bright and innocent. Analyst Kiva, I'm Private Yoonji. I'm so excited you're here. She bounced on her feet with energy. Are you going to watch our boarding drill? It's going to be so cool. Define boarding drill, Kiva said slowly. We practice taking over enemy ships. It's really intense. Last week 3 people broke bones, but everyone said it was the best drill ever. Kiva made notes on their datapad. These humans spoke of injury like it was entertainment. The boarding drill was terrifying. Humans in full armor used explosive charges to blast through mock walls. They moved through rooms filled with smoke and simulated enemy fire. Their weapons were loud. So loud, Kiva's ears rang even through protective gear. Yoonji was in the middle of the action. She moved with her squad like they were one organism. When simulated enemies appeared, The humans reacted instantly. No hesitation. They threw themselves into danger without thinking. One Marine used his own body to shield others from a simulated explosion. He would have died if it were real. After the drill ended, Commander Bora joined Kiva on the observation platform. She was older than the others, with gray streaks in her hair. She watched her crew with the expression of a mother watching children. "Your assessment, analyst?" she asked. "Your people are brave but reckless. They take unnecessary risks." Bora smiled slightly. "To you, they're unnecessary. To us, protecting each other is the most necessary thing in the universe." 3 days later, the real combat began. The ship's alarms blared red. Kiva rushed to the bridge, where Dae-hyun and his crew moved with practiced efficiency. The holographic display showed civilian transport ships under attack. 5 pirate vessels surrounded them. Civilians were dying. "Options?" Commander Bora asked. "We're outnumbered," Hana reported. "Recommended tactical withdrawal to gather reinforcements." Kiva nodded. This was logical. This was smart. "Request denied," Bora said calmly. "Those civilians don't have time for reinforcements. All weapons hot. Set intercept course. Maximum speed." Kiva's translator must have malfunctioned. The commander just ordered them to charge into a fight they could not win. But no. The crew was already moving to follow the order. No one questioned it. No one hesitated. The Resolute Dawn accelerated toward the battle. Kiva gripped their seat as the ship shook from weapons fire. The human crew worked their stations with intense focus. Hana called out enemy positions. Dae-hyun coordinated defensive screens. Bora gave orders in a steady voice. "Launch Marines. Target Pirate Vessel 3. Boarding action authorized." Through the windows, Kiva watched as small pods launched from their ship. The pods carried Taemin's squad directly into enemy fire. Several pods were destroyed before reaching the target. Kiva saw the explosions, saw the lives end, felt sick. 3 pods lost, Hana reported. Her voice remained steady, despite reporting deaths. "Remaining squads have breached the hull. Good. Keep them covered. Weapons. Focus on vessels 1 and 2. Drive them away from the civilians." The battle lasted 40 minutes. It felt like 40 years to Kiva. The Resolute Dawn took heavy damage. Hull breaches on 3 decks. Weapons systems damaged. Medical bay filling with wounded. But the pirates broke formation and retreated. The civilian ships were safe. Kiva followed Dae-hyun to the medical bay. The scene was horrific. Humans with burns, broken bones, and bleeding wounds. But they were not crying or screaming. They were joking. "Did you see Taemin punch through that blast door?" One Marine laughed, while a doctor set his broken arm. "Saw him? I helped him." Another replied. Half his face was covered in bandages. Taemin himself lay on a medical bed. His armor had been cut away. His side was badly burned. The medical team worked quickly to treat him. He saw Kiva staring. "We won, didn't we?" he asked. His voice was rough with pain. "You took 60% casualties," Kiva said quietly. "But the civilians are alive. That's what matters." Yoonji sat nearby, getting stitches on her arm. She still smiled. "That was amazing. Did you see how we coordinated that breach?" Textbook execution, Kiva could not understand. These people had nearly died. Their friends had died. And they were celebrating. That night, Kiva composed another report to High Command. They wrote, "Humans appear to have defective survival instincts. They willingly sacrifice themselves for others. They take injuries that would incapacitate any other species and continue fighting. They do not seem to understand the concept of acceptable losses, because no loss is acceptable if it means innocents are harmed. I do not know if they are the bravest species I have encountered, or the most broken." Kiva paused before sending the message. They added one more line. "I am beginning to suspect both are true." My. Cheese. In the medical bay, humans laughed and told stories of the battle. They held hands with dying friends and promised to remember them. They cried quietly when they thought no one was watching. Then, they dried their tears and returned to duty. Kiva watched it all and felt something shift inside them. The planet Theta 7 was a nightmare. Kiva looked out the transport window at the brown and red landscape below. The atmosphere readings showed toxic levels of sulfur compounds. The temperature swung 50 degrees between day and night. Nothing should survive there. Yet humans had built a mining colony. And now they were going down to defend it. Major Sang-woo sat across from Kiva, reviewing tactical maps on his datapad. He looked tired. Dark circles under his eyes suggested he had not slept properly in days. Yet he moved, with purpose and focus. The mining colony has 3,000 workers, he explained. Insurgents from the Kreeth faction want control of the mineral deposits. They've cut off supply lines and are preparing an assault. We need to hold until reinforcements arrive in 72 hours. The environment will kill most species in less than a day, Kiva pointed out. Sang-woo shrugged. It's not great. But we've operated in worse. Mars colony had similar conditions during the early days. Humans adapt. The transport shook as it entered the atmosphere. Kiva gripped their seat, while humans around them checked weapons and armor with casual efficiency. A medic named Jae-in sat nearby, organizing medical supplies. Her hands moved quickly, sorting syringes and bandages like she had done this 1,000 times before. She probably had. First time on a hostile planet? She asked Kiva without looking up. First time on any planet this dangerous. You get used to it. The trick is not thinking about all the ways you could die. She smiled, but her eyes looked haunted. Think about the people you're saving instead. Makes it easier. 7. The landing was rough. The transport's ramp dropped, and heat slammed into them like a physical wall. Kiva's environmental suit immediately started working at maximum capacity. Alarms chirped warnings about air toxicity and radiation levels. The humans around them simply adjusted their basic helmets and walked into the hell landscape without hesitation. Private Yujin fell into step beside Kiva as they crossed the rocky terrain toward the colony. She was young and enthusiastic, like Unji. She carried a rifle that looked too big for her frame. Pretty intense, right? Yujin said. My first deployment was on Europa. Ice moon. Negative 200 degrees. This is warm compared to that. Yujin, how do you survive in these conditions? Humans are really good at adapting. It's kind of our thing. We lived everywhere on Earth. Deserts, jungles, Arctic regions, mountains. Our bodies just figure it out. She patted her helmet. Plus, good technology helps. The mining colony was built into the side of a mountain. Metal structures connected by enclosed tunnels. The workers looked relieved when they arrived. Sang-woo immediately organized defensive positions. He moved through the colony, identifying weak points and setting up weapon emplacements. Within hours, the chaotic mining outpost became a fortress. Kiva observed the human soldiers as they patrolled the perimeter. They walked through heat that made Kiva's suit strain. The sulfur clouds burned Kiva's eyes even through their face shield. The humans just squinted and kept moving. 4 hours into patrol duty without rest. 6 hours. 8 hours. They just kept going. How long can they maintain this pace? Kiva asked Jae-in at the medical station. Humans can walk for days if needed. Our ancestors hunted prey by just following it until it collapsed from exhaustion. We're built for endurance. She was treating a soldier with heat exhaustion. The man's temperature was dangerously high, but he insisted on returning to duty. Give me 20 minutes, and I'll be fine. Jae-in firmly pushed him back down. You'll give me 2 hours, or I'll have Sang-woo order you to rest. The attack came on the second night. Kiva was in the command center when alarms screamed. Sensors showed insurgent forces approaching through the mining tunnels. Hundreds of them, far more than intelligence had predicted. All units to combat positions, Sang-woo ordered calmly. They're coming through tunnels A through E. We hold them at each junction. No one gets to the civilian shelters. Kiva followed a squad into the tunnels. The passage was narrow and dark. Emergency lights cast red shadows. Their footsteps echoed off metal walls. Somewhere ahead, weapons fire started. The sound was deafening in the enclosed space. The insurgents hit them fast. Suddenly, the tunnel was full of enemies. Muzzle flashes lit the darkness. Kiva dropped to the ground in panic. The human squad around them did not panic. They moved with practiced coordination, covering each other, calling out targets, advancing into the fire. Yujin was beside Kiva. She fired her weapon in controlled bursts. An explosion nearby threw her against the wall. She should have been stunned, should have retreated. Instead, she stood up, checked her weapon, and kept fighting. "Are you hurt?" Kiva shouted over the noise. "Probably," Yujin shouted back. "I'll check later." The humans fought in conditions that should have been impossible. The tunnels were pitch black when the lights failed. The insurgents had thermal vision equipment. The humans should have been at a massive disadvantage. Instead, they used sound, memory, touch. They knew the tunnel layout and moved through darkness like they could see. Kiva watched a human marine fight hand-to-hand in complete darkness. No vision at all, just reacting to sound and movement. It was terrifying and amazing at the same time. Sang-woo was everywhere, directing squads, calling in support. His voice remained calm, even as the situation got worse. Then, Kiva heard him grunt, in pain. In the flickering light, Kiva saw blood spreading across the Major's side. A lot of blood. "Sir, you're hit," someone called. "I noticed." "Keep fighting." Sang-woo pressed his hand against the wound and continued commanding. He did this for 3 hours. 3 hours of coordinating the battle while critically injured. Kiva could see him getting weaker. Wooed, his voice getting rougher. But he did not stop. Did not hand over command. Did not retreat. Jae-in appeared from nowhere. She took one look at Sang-woo and started working on him right there, in the tunnel. With bullets hitting the walls around them, she cut away his armor and packed the wound while explosions shook dust from the ceiling. "You should be evacuated," Jae-in said while working. "We hold this position," Sang-woo replied. His face was pale, but his jaw was set. "How long until I can move?" "You shouldn't move. But knowing you, 5 minutes." She finished her work and Sang-woo was back on his feet. The battle lasted 9 hours. When it finally ended, every human soldier was wounded in some way. Burns, cuts, broken bones, concussions. They had held every position. Not a single insurgent had reached the civilians. Kiva sat in the medical station afterward watching Jae-in treat an endless line of patients. The humans did not complain. They thanked her, apologized for bothering her, made jokes about their injuries. Yujin found Kiva later. She had a bandage on her head and her arm in a sling. She sat down with a tired sigh. "That was intense," she said. She offered Kiva a ration bar. "You did good down there. Staying calm is hard when everything goes crazy." I was not calm. I was terrified. "Yeah, me too. Everyone's terrified in combat. We just don't let it stop us." She took a bite of her ration. "You asked earlier how we survive these conditions. The truth is, we just don't think about it. We focus on the mission, on protecting people. Fear doesn't matter. Pain doesn't matter. Only the mission matters." Kiva looked at this young human with her injuries and her tired smile. What kind of species thinks like that? Yujin considered the question. The kind that had to fight for survival every day for millions of years. Earth wasn't easy on us. It made us tough, made us stubborn, made us refuse to quit no matter what. She finished her ration bar. We're not the strongest species, not the fastest or smartest. But I promise you, we're the most stubborn. We just don't know how to give up. That night, Kiva wrote in their report, "Humans do not stop when injured. They stop when dead. Sometimes not even then. I watched them fight in conditions that should kill them, and they simply pushed through it. They call this adaptation. I call it insanity. But it is effective insanity. Outpost 19 floated peacefully in neutral space. The diplomatic station was a symbol of cooperation between the Galactic Coalition and the Kreth Dominion. Kiva stood in the observation deck, watching ships from both sides dock for peace negotiations. After months of border conflicts, both sides had agreed to discuss terms. Admiral Jinsu stood nearby, talking quietly with his staff. He was older than most of the humans Kiva had met. His hair was completely gray, and deep lines marked his face, but his eyes were kind and his voice was gentle. He had spent 40 years in the human fleet. He had seen countless battles, yet he always sought peace first. War should be the last option, not the first, he had told Kiva earlier. Every battle means lives lost. That's not something to celebrate. Kiva had found this refreshing. Finally, a human who understood the cost of combat, who valued diplomacy over violence. Maybe humans were not all crazy warriors. Maybe some of them were wise and peaceful. The Kreth delegation arrived on time. Their species was larger than humans, with thick, scaled skin. They were natural warriors, proud and aggressive. But even they seemed tired of fighting. The negotiations began in a conference room filled with representatives from a dozen species. Ensign Sua monitored communications from the command center. She was young and optimistic. She believed in peace, believed that talking could solve any problem. Kiva found her idealism refreshing, even if it seemed naive. "This is good," Sua said, watching the diplomatic feeds. "Both sides are actually listening to each other. We might actually end this conflict without more bloodshed." The negotiations continued for 3 days. Slow progress, but progress nonetheless. Kiva began to hope that this assignment would end peacefully, that they could report back to High Command that humans were reasonable after all. Then, everything changed. The alarm started as a low sound. Then it became a scream. Red lights flashed throughout the station. Kiva ran to the command center, where Admiral Jinsu was already receiving reports. His kind face had gone pale. "Confirmed?" he asked quietly. "Yes, sir," Sua replied. Her voice shook. Tears ran down her face. The Kreth fleet attacked the hospital ship Mercy's Grace during the ceasefire. All crew and patients are dead. 3,000 civilians. The ship was clearly marked with medical symbols. They knew what they were hitting. Silence filled the command center. Absolute silence. Kiva watched Admiral Jinsu's expression change. The kindness drained away. His gentle eyes became hard and cold. When he spoke, his voice was completely different. It was the voice of something ancient and dangerous. "Get me fleet command. All ships. Combat ready in 30 minutes. "Sir, the negotiations," someone began. "The negotiations are over." They killed 3,000 unarmed doctors and patients under a flag of truce. Jinsu turned to face his crew. Kiva barely recognized him. This was not the peaceful diplomat. This was something else. Something predatory. No prisoners. No mercy. No quarter. New rules of engagement. Total war. Kiva felt their blood run cold. They had heard these words in human history files. Total war meant complete destruction of the enemy. No compassion. No forgiveness. Just elimination. Captain Wonshik's Special Forces ship arrived within hours. Wonshik was different from other humans Kiva had met. He did not joke or smile. He moved like liquid death. His team was the same. Silent. Efficient. Terrifying. "I'm going with them," Kiva announced. To observe. Dae-hyun, who had arrived with the fleet, shook his head. "This won't be like the other fights you've seen. When humans get truly angry, we become something different. You don't want to see this. I am an observer, I must observe. One Shik looked at Kiva with cold eyes. Stay out of our way. Try to keep up. Don't expect us to slow down for you. The hunt began immediately. The Kreeth fleet had scattered after destroying the hospital ship. They thought they could hide in the vastness of space. They were wrong. The humans tracked them across 3 systems. They did not stop to rest, did not stop to eat properly, did not stop for anything. They just hunted. Kiva watched the bridge crew work 18-hour shifts. When they finally rested, it was for 4 hours before starting again. They existed on stimulants and rage. The ships pushed their engines beyond safe limits. Safety protocols were disabled. Everything was sacrificed for speed and weapons power. One Shik's team boarded the first Kreeth vessel they caught. Kiva followed in a support ship and accessed the combat footage. What they saw would haunt them forever. The humans moved through the Kreeth ship like ghosts. No wasted movement. No hesitation. They were not fighting. They were executing. When Kreeth soldiers tried to surrender, One Shik's cold voice came through the comm. The hospital ship crew tried to surrender too. They were doctors. Remember that. No prisoners were taken. The second Kreeth ship tried to run into civilian space thinking the humans would not follow. They were wrong. The humans did not care about borders anymore. They did not care about diplomatic consequences. They followed their prey into neutral territory and destroyed it completely. Su'a worked her communication station with tears streaming down her face. She did not try to hide them. I wanted peace. I believed in peace. But they killed doctors. They killed patients in hospital beds. Children. There were children on that ship. Her voice broke. So now I'll help hunt every single one of them down. The third system was where the main Kreeth fleet tried to make a stand. 15 warships against the human fleet of 8. The Kreeth commander sent a message requesting terms of surrender. Admiral Jinsu's response was simple. You declared total war when you destroyed a hospital ship. There are no terms. There is no surrender. There is only justice. The battle was not a battle. It was a massacre. The humans fought with calculated brutality. Every shot was aimed to cause maximum damage. Disabled ships were not boarded. They were destroyed. When Kreeth escape pods launched, the humans let them go. But they tagged each pod. Every survivor would be hunted down later. Kiva stood on the bridge of One Shik's ship and watched the destruction. The humans around them showed no joy in this victory. No celebration. They looked sick and tired and angry. This was not glory. This was necessary horror. After 6 days of continuous hunting, the last Kreeth vessel was cornered in an asteroid field. It was a small ship, probably not even involved in the hospital attack. Kiva expected the humans to show mercy now, to accept surrender from this one ship. They were wrong. All weapons fire, Jinsu ordered. The ship was destroyed completely. No survivors, no witnesses, no mercy. When it was over, Kiva found Su'a in the observation deck. She stared out at the debris field, at the wreckage of 15 ships and thousands of dead. Her face was wet with tears, but her expression was hard. We remember, she said quietly. That's what makes us different from them. They thought the hospital ship was just another target, just numbers. But we remember every name, every face, every life. She turned to look at Kiva. 3,000 civilians died under a flag of peace. So we hunted down every ship in that fleet. Every single one. And we'll keep hunting until every person responsible is found. Is this justice or revenge? Kiva asked. Does it matter? They learned an important lesson. You don't break truce with humans. You don't kill our innocent. You don't target hospitals and schools and civilian ships. Her voice was cold, colder than Kiva had ever heard from a human. Because if you do, we will find you. We will not stop. We will not forgive. We will hunt you to the end of the universe if necessary. Kiva returned to their quarters and tried to write a report. Their hands shook. They had seen humans fight with courage, with determination, with honor. But this was different. This was wrath, pure and terrible and absolute. Finally, they wrote, "Do not provoke humans. Do not harm their innocent. Ever." I watched them transform from protectors into destroyers. They did not enjoy it. They did not celebrate it. But they did it with complete commitment. The Kreeth broke a sacred rule. They killed the helpless under a flag of peace. And humans made them pay for it with total annihilation. This is not a species you want as an enemy. But more than that, this is not a species whose innocence you should ever harm. They will burn entire fleets to ash for revenge. They call it justice. Perhaps it is. I am too frightened to judge. The journey back to Talvarian space was quiet. Too quiet. The human crew of the Resolute Dawn went about their duties, but something had changed. They carried the weight of what they had done. 6 months ago, Kiva would not have noticed this. But now, they understood humans better. Understood that humans felt deeply, even when they pretended not to. Kiva sat in their quarters, surrounded by 6 months of reports and observations. They needed to compile everything into a final assessment for high command. But how could they explain what they had witnessed? How could they put human nature into words that would make sense? A chime at the door interrupted their thoughts. Ambassador Hyun entered. Kiva had met them briefly at the beginning of the assignment, but the ambassador had been away on diplomatic missions. They looked tired. Older than their years suggested they should be. "May I sit?" Hyun asked politely. Kiva gestured to the chair. "Of course, Ambassador." Hyun sat down slowly, like their bones hurt. "I heard you've been struggling with your final report. I thought perhaps I could help you understand what you've seen. I have seen humans do impossible things, brave things, terrible things. I do not know what to tell my people about your species. Tell them the truth. That we're complicated." Hyun smiled sadly. "We are not simple warriors or peaceful diplomats. We are both, and neither. We are whatever we need to be to protect what we love. On Theta 7, I watched soldiers fight in conditions that should have killed them. They just pushed through pain and kept going. Why? Because people needed protecting. It's that simple. Humans are very good at ignoring our own suffering when others are in danger." Hyun leaned forward. "Do you know what humans evolved from? Prey animals. On Earth, we were hunted by bigger, stronger, faster predators. Everything wanted to eat us. So we developed something unique. We learned to work together, to sacrifice for the group. Because alone, we die. Together, we survive." Kiva thought about this. But the hospital ship, the revenge against the Kreeth fleet, that was not about survival. That was about punishment. No. That was about sending a message. Hyun's expression became serious. The Kreeth broke a fundamental rule. They killed the helpless. They attacked healers during a truce. If we let that go unpunished, other species would think it was acceptable. They would target our civilians, our doctors, our children. So we responded with overwhelming force to make it clear that such actions have consequences. You destroyed 15 ships. Killed thousands. Yes. And hopefully saved millions. Because now every species in the galaxy knows that harming human civilians means total war. It's horrible, but it's effective." Hyun sighed. "Do you think we enjoyed it? Do you think Admiral Jin-Soo will sleep well, knowing he ordered the deaths of so many? He won't. None of us will. But we did what was necessary to protect future innocents." The ship's alarm suddenly blared. Both Kiva and Hyun rushed to the bridge, where Dae-hyun was coordinating response to an emergency. The holographic display showed a distress signal. A coalition science vessel was under attack by unknown raiders. Heavily outnumbered. "Distance?" Commander Bora asked. 12 light minutes. We can reach them in 20 minutes at maximum speed. Other coalition ships in range? Negative. We're the only ones close enough. Bora looked at the tactical display. 15 raider ships against 1 science vessel. The Resolute Dawn was still damaged from previous engagements. They were running on limited crew, because so many were injured. This should be a tactical retreat situation. Call for backup. Return when properly reinforced. All hands to battle stations, Bora ordered. Engineering, I need everything you can give me. We have scientists to save. Kiva watched the crew snap into action. After 6 months of combat and hardship, after losing friends and taking injuries, they did not hesitate. Not one person questioned the order. They just moved to save strangers. Ambassador Hyun, evacuate to the safe pods, Daehyun said. Hyun shook their head. I'm staying. This is going to be dangerous, Daehyun warned. Then you'll need everyone who can help. Hyun moved to a support station. I may be a diplomat, but I was a combat medic for 10 years before that. I can help. Kiva felt something shift inside them. Fear was there. Terror, actually. But also something else. Something that had been growing over 6 months of watching humans fight and sacrifice and protect. They moved to another station. I am staying too. Daehyun looked at them with surprise. You don't have to do this. Yes, I do. For 6 months, you have protected me, taught me, shown me what it means to be human. Now, let me show you what I have learned. The captain smiled. Actually smiled. Welcome to the fight. Analyst, Kiva. The battle was exactly as dangerous as predicted. The raiders had superior numbers and firepower. The Resolute Dawn dove into the fight anyway. Kiva worked a damage control station trying to keep critical systems operational. Around them, the crew fought with everything they had. Taemin's Marines prepared for boarding action. Yoonji checked her weapon and caught Kiva's eye. She gave a thumbs up and a bright smile. Like this was just another day. Maybe for her it was. They're targeting the science vessel's engines, Hana called out. If those go, everyone on board dies when the ship breaks apart. Put us between them and that ship, Bora ordered. The Resolute Dawn positioned itself as a shield. Taking hits meant for the defenseless scientists. The ship shook with each impact. Hull breaches on 3 decks. Power failures in multiple sections, but they held position. Marine pods away, Daehyun reported. They're going for the Raider command ship. Kiva watched through external cameras as the Marines' pods flew through a storm of weapons fire toward the largest Raider vessel. They saw pods explode. Saw friends die. But the remaining pods reached their target, and humans poured into the enemy ship. What happened next became a legend. Taemin's squad, reduced to half strength, fought through the Raider ship to the bridge. They captured the enemy commander and broadcast a message to all Raider vessels. The message was simple. Surrender or watch your leader die. The Raiders surrendered. When it was over, the science vessel was safe. Every scientist rescued. The Resolute Dawn was barely holding together, but they had won. Kiva helped carry wounded to medical bay. Worked alongside Hyun to stabilize critical patients. Saw Jae-in working with bloody hands and fierce determination to save every life she could. Later, Kiva found themselves in the observation deck with Dae-hyun. They watched the science vessel dock for repairs. Watched grateful scientists wave at the damaged warship that had saved them. Why do you do this? Kiva asked. Why risk everything for strangers? Because they needed help. That's the only reason we need. Dae-hyun looked tired but satisfied. Humans learned long ago that we survive by taking care of each other. We protect the weak. We defend the innocent. We sacrifice for strangers because we hope someone would do the same for us. On my world, such sacrifice is considered illogical. Maybe it is. But logic isn't everything. Sometimes you have to act from the heart instead of the head. He smiled. What will you tell your government about us? Thanks for watching. Of your government. Of your government. Kiva thought about 6 months of observations. The courage and the horror. The sacrifice and the wrath. The kindness and the brutality. Finally, they understood. I will tell them that humans are not monsters. You are heroes who can become monsters when necessary. You fight so others do not have to. You protect fiercely because you love fiercely. You endure impossible hardship because you refuse to let innocence suffer. You are terrifying and wonderful and completely insane. Kiva felt their eyes water. And you are the best allies anyone could ask for in this dark universe. 3 days later, Kiva stood in their quarters preparing the final report. They wrote, "To Talvarian High Command. After 6 months of observation, I submit the following assessment of human military capabilities. Recommendation: never fight humans if it can be avoided. But if you must have allies in the darkness, if you need someone to stand beside you when everything seems lost, if you want warriors who will never abandon you no matter the cost, there are none better than humans. They are not the strongest species, not the fastest or most advanced, but they are the most determined, the most loyal, the most willing to sacrifice. I was sent to witness humans in combat. Now I understand I did not witness monsters. I witnessed heroes, and I wish I had understood sooner." Kiva added one more thing to their report. A formal request for permanent assignment with human military forces. If they approved it, Kiva would stay, would continue learning from these impossible, wonderful, terrifying humans. The response came 3 days later. Request approved. Kiva found Dae-hyun on the bridge and showed him the message. He grinned widely. "Welcome to the team, Analyst Kiva. Though I think we should drop the analyst part. You've earned the right to be called something else. What would you suggest? How about friend? We could always use more of those." Kiva felt warmth spread through their chest. After 6 months of fear and confusion and wonder, they finally understood what it meant to be part of a human crew. It meant family. It meant loyalty. It meant never being alone in the darkness. "Friend," Kiva repeated. "Yes, I would like that very much." Outside the ship, stars stretched endlessly in all directions. Dangers lurked in the darkness. Threats waited around every corner. But Kiva was no longer afraid. Because they stood among humans. And humans did not abandon their friends. Ever.